Victor Wembanyama to start the year looked like the scariest player in the NBA. Obviously, he's already a generational defender, but what really stood out was how dynamic and dominant his offense was. Where opening night, he toyed with Anthony Davis, and it seemed like this version of him was checking all the boxes. He looked much more compact and physical as a driver, plus he had the build and skill set to create shots from all three levels. That kind of scoring punch, along with him being the best defender in the NBA, easily put Victor in the conversation for one of the best players in the league. But that scoring volume and efficiency has taken a hit over these past 3 games. In this video, we're going to do a deep dive on the film to see what exactly is going on. Is it just a cold shooting stretch for Wemby, or is the defense actually starting to make some adjustments? Now, if we've learned anything over these past 2 weeks, it's that Wemby is a serious matchup problem for pretty much all the centers across the league. Where at 7'4", he has too much quickness and wiggle for them to deal with. On opening night, that was on full display against Dallas, where it was just barbecue chicken against AD and Lively the entire night. And that's also been the case in this recent span of games. Against the Lakers, DeAndre Ayton couldn't contain him off the dribble, and Khalil Ware for the Heat also had issues with him in open space. So naturally, if your centers can't deal with Wemby off the dribble, the only real option is to stick him with guards and wings. And I think this has had a legit impact. First, smaller defenders naturally have a lower center of gravity, making it much tougher for taller and slender players to move them off their spot. And this is where Wemby's ridiculous size can be a double-edged sword. On one end, he can elevate up and get shots off at will, where he simply has a vertical point that the defense can't reach. But on the other end, that height keeps him from getting low enough to carve out driving angles. And this was really apparent against the Heat, where Miami was comfortable switching 1 through 5 and letting their undersized players defend him on an island. It's just him and Jaime Jaquez here playing one-on-one, and Wemby gets pushed out into a tough off-balance baseline fadeaway. The Heat on this play are gonna again switch the screen, but this time it's with Ware and Davion Mitchell. And no matter how low Victor gets with the ball, it's gonna be really tough to move a fire hydrant defender like Mitchell off his spot. We can see more of the same thing on this play, where the Spurs again try to target Mitchell in pick and roll, and as Wemby lowers his shoulder into contact, he's the one that gets pushed off bounds. And also, if Wemby recklessly throws himself into contact like this, he also runs the risk of drawing offensive fouls.
Wembanyama.
Another issue with these smaller matchups is that the ball naturally gets more exposed. And this is another drawback to being a 7'4" ball handler. There's simply a lot of airspace that the ball has to travel from the floor and back up to Victor's hands. Look who's going to rip towards the baseline, to then fold over and throw his entire body into the defense. But the ball still gets poked free.
Makes it 11-0 run. Wemby.
And these matchups also give Wemby issues off the ball, where he's had a hard time establishing position and calmly getting pushed out well outside the paint. And from here, it's pretty much right back to scratch. He's initially trying to establish position in the paint here, but again, he gets pulled up towards the 3, and he's unable to create an angle for this pass. Now, regardless of where Wemby catches the ball, he pretty much always has the option to shoot from over the top, where from the mid post, he already has a pretty polished pivot game, being able to open up, throw out a few jab steps, to then find these windows to elevate. But the problem is the shots for Victor aren't automatic. Historically, he's always shot in the mid to high 30s in the mid-range. And sure, those numbers for him could get better, but in order to justify these looks in high volume, you have to be shooting at least 50%. And I still think Wemby has a long way to go before he's that caliber of a shot maker. And generally for the defense, if you're forcing Victor into long contested 2s, that's going to be a win.
Oh, a giant step.
And what's also interesting is that teams on the scouting report are becoming more comfortable letting Victor rise up for in-between pull-ups. Look how Bam here is going to sit on 3 consecutive pump fakes. And again, the priority is to wall off and take away his game around the basket. Compare that play to this one with PJ Washington, where he sells out for a shot fake and gives him this runway towards the basket. So if the defense has multiple defenders who are sturdy and mobile, it's very possible to keep Victor out of the paint and force him into a heavy shot diet of jumpers. But what if teams don't have that kind of personnel? Well, that's where we can look at the recent Suns and Lakers game, because both of those teams for sure aren't bulletproof defensively, but they both held Wemby to under 20 points. First, LA ran this kind of basketball-style QB spy. One guy would pretty much ignore his man and float behind for extra help. Look how Rui Hachimura here is going to ignore his man cutting through and stay shifted up on the strong side, and he provides a little extra resistance in the paint. We can see the same thing here, where Rui's man cuts through, but he stays zoned up and hones in on the ball. Along with that, the Lakers also sent heavy help in gap. Look how Ayton ignores his man and gives extra help at the nail. So whenever Wemby had the ball, the Lakers kind of played a zone defense, where the entire court would shrink and collapse once he committed to a move. As soon as Victor gets below the arc here, look how the entire Laker defense shifts down towards the ball.
Wembanyama pulls up.
Now the Suns on the other hand were much more aggressive. Throughout the entire game, they were throwing doubles at Victor as soon as he caught the ball, and they didn't allow him to establish any kind of rhythm. They're gonna again throw an extra body at him as soon as he catches, but as he throws it out, look how one player is gonna switch out and shift over towards the weak side. But then again, when Victor gets the ball back, Booker goes right back into another double. And the Suns' concept in a way was similar to the Lakers, where it was all about guarding Wemby with all 5 guys. They're gonna throw another blitz at him here, but they also have additional weak side help rotating underneath the basket.
Last year, as O'Neal.
So in essence, you kinda have to guard Victor the same way you guard other great players. It's just a team effort with all 5 guys. But what kind of separates Victor as a scorer is that he can also generate plenty of buckets while playing off the ball. First, right now, I would say he's literally the best vertical lob threat of all time. If he's somewhere around the basket, all you have to do is put the ball up. And similar to his jumper, there's just a vertical point that the defense can't reach. And then in the same vein, that size also allows him to offensive rebound at a high level. So defensively, in order to take away Victor's lobs and put back dunks, it all boils down to keeping him outside the paint. First, at all times, there's pretty much always been a body attached to him. In the half court, there's always somebody nudging and leaning on him, and it's all about staying between him and the basket and not allowing him to establish position. And again, that has to be at all times. Bam Adebayo here is going to rotate over from the weak side, which initially gives Wemby all the space to cut into. But look how Hawkins is ready to rotate down and get a body in front of him. In transition here, look how Booker ignores the ball and puts his hip right into Victor as he gets below the arc, and the lob threat from here is pretty much gone. And the same logic also applies when defending Victor as a screener. It's all about staying between him and the basket and not allowing him to establish position. Look how Booker here is going to switch, and he's immediately ready to plant his feet and throw his body into him. And then if Wemby is initially able to break free, you also have that additional help from the weak side. Now, while Wemby has been slowed down over these past few games, it shouldn't be all doom and gloom for San Antonio, because there's still plenty of ways for them to counter every style of defense that we've gone over. There's plenty of things that Victor can do with the ball in his hands, and there's going to be lots of opportunities for San Antonio's other players, especially their guards. First, if Victor is pulling 2, 3, or 4 defenders towards the ball, all he has to do is make the simple play. Pretty much all the passing reads that he has are right in front of him. It's just routine swing and kick out passes when the defense commits towards the ball. But there are times where Victor makes the game a little more complicated than it has to be. Take this play for example. The Lakers are going to send a double team from the weak side, but he tries to hit the opposite corner with this sideways underhand snap pass that's well off the mark. There's just no reason for him to hit home runs as a passer because San Antonio already has plenty of talent around him. Guys like Stephon Castle, Dylan Harper, Harrison Barnes, Devin Vassell, and De'Aaron Fox when he comes back can all shoot and put the ball down. For Wemby, it should all be about making the right play, putting the defense in a scramble, and trusting that your teammates can capitalize on those breakdowns. Because this is the same kind of defense that we saw LeBron deal with in his first stint with the Cavs. But the big difference is, San Antonio is actually loaded with talent. So this type of gapping, blitzing, and zoning towards the ball should be getting punished. And the Spurs guards can also capitalize on Wemby's off-ball gravity. In pick and roll, if the defense is paranoid about taking away that lob threat, there should be plenty of space around the basket to get downhill. And then if they're sending extra help from the weak side, these cross-court skip passes are always going to be there. So going forward for Victor, he's obviously going to be fine. He's already the best defender in the league, and his physical tools alone can make him a 20+ scorer. But at age 21, his game is still kind of developing. And with the way the league is right now, it doesn't take long for your weaknesses to get magnified. I do think some people are kind of jumping the gun with already crowning him as the best player in the world. Obviously, he has the potential to get there, but his offense to me still has a lot of room for improvement. He needs to figure out how to deal with stocky defenders who can hold their ground. His outside shooting is still pretty up and down, and I do think he needs to get better at punishing the defense with simple reads. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and let me know in the comments who the kids should break down next. The kids here.